understand that I'm different. I'm different. I'm different. I'm just different. That I'm different. It's just different. I'm different. Look, there's a difference. Is it the way we move, the lanes we choose, the beats we bruise, or the way I lay in the groove? Either way, Trey's that dude. Play by my own set of rules. Nothing uniform.
Welcome to another episode of Born to Be Dope. I am your host, Ryan C. Greene. We got a special episode today. We got hip-hop legend, hip-hop star, attorney, daddy, all that. Tracey Lee with us today. Welcome, man. Good to see you.
What's good, brother? How you feeling, man?
Good to see you, man.
Right.
Good to see you, man.
Yes,
we are
yes,
here. I'm
I
gonna give you respect. We are here at the
I heard for
Mecca.
you to say it. Let them know.
We're here at the Mecca.
This is a Hampton University guy.
I didn't wear my blue because I'm like, the only blue I acknowledge is Hampton blue.
You see what it is.
But I did do the red. So, I mean, you know, look.
That's all good.
Much love. We got that out the way.
Yeah.
All right, we got that out the way.
HBCU, man.
HBCU love. We on campus of Howard University, campus that means a lot to you.
Absolutely.
Has a lot of to your backstory. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that as well. But we're here to talk about just you. You got this new album that's out, man. Different. So we're gonna talk about that. Let's first talk, but before we get into all that, let's start from, you know, we back outside now. It's been a while
no doubt.
since we've been outside, you know, after the whole global pandemic. Where do you see yourself now, like after the pandemic, coming out on this side? How do you think it's impacted you, your life, the way you look at things now?
You know, you're in a different state, you know, pun intended. You know, your whole mentality, your whole, you know, the way you view the world, the way you view yourself, the way you view your family, it's just totally different. When you're isolated for that long, you know, you give, you know, yourself an opportunity to do some soul searching. You do, you know, surveying of the landscape, and you try to, you know, at least from my perspective, try to figure out where you are. What is your perspective? Where do you see yourself moving forward once you come out of this, if you come out of this at all?
Right.
And fortunately, we were able to. You know, you still see the residue, you still see the residual effects of it, you know, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, like I mentioned in the album. But that's what it is. And so now you just take that part and you move forward.
Right.
You know?
Right. Awesome.
Food for deliverance, the leftovers of your social experiment. Wept over too many souls to be spared a day of reckoning. I feel it in my spirit, post-pandemic.
So talk about this album, man. I mean, because you've been in this thing for a minute, and this is stigma, which I disagree with, but you know, people, you a grown man, you're supposed to be rapping. Nobody ever asked, you know, nobody ever told James Baldwin, Nicky Giovanni, you too old to stop writing, you know, poetry.
Right.
But for some reason they feel like MCs, there's a cutoff. But let's talk about this album. Why it was important for you to do this album right now?
To put it simple, because I can. You know what I'm saying? I think this is a gift that God gave me, and I would be disobedient to that fact if I stopped doing what is given to me. You know what I mean? The gift that is given to me. Not to mention, you know, when you start talking about, you know, why are older MCs or legacy MCs still rhyming? Because, well, I think that's all based out of ignorance. Basically, we're in uncharted waters. As hip hop grows, so do we, because we are the creators of the culture. You know what I'm saying? So it's natural that it's gonna get older. You know what I'm saying? But that's a gift. I mean that's a blessing. Excuse me. And so, you know, if you were to adhere to whatever the naysayers say about this culture, then the culture will ultimately die because it will stay at one level. The culture is supposed to expand and grow. So I got to do my job to make sure that it expands and it grows and it gets older as it should.
And I love that. And I love because, first of all, I love legacy MCs. We got to get that more broad.
Absolutely.
Legacy MCs, I love that. But that's what I say too, is what I love about this album and MCs like you is that your music has grown with you. You're not out there talking about trying to pop pills and be in the club, right? Like you talk to us. You talk to them. Like you said, we grew up with the culture, so it doesn't feel like, no matter how old the culture is, it's us. So that's why I think our older generation continues to look young, feel young, because we are the culture that built this.
Without levels first, and don't associate Trey if not an epic verse. I made 20 on the game.
So let's talk about influences, because we talk about hip hop and
a lot of
you know, let's talk about who influenced you. Who when Tracey Lee was, I don't know, in the high school, maybe middle school cafeteria.
That, man,
right?
we going back to when I was like 11, 12
Let's
years
talk
old.
about it. Who influenced you? What made you want to do this thing?
Oh man, I mean, there's a laundry list, but I mean, you know, you got the Grandmaster Caz's of the world, the Kumo D's of the world, the you know, Melly Mel's of the world, but then you take it out of that trilogy, because to me, those were the beginning stages of lyricism, you know what I'm saying, if you will, but then after that, Tila Rock Is Yours dropped, and I lost my mind because of, you know, for the first time I'm hearing, you know, production, straight drums. You know what I'm saying? It's not a sample, it's not played instrumentation, it's straight drums, and you hear commentating, illustrating, description giving, adjective expert. I'm like, look at these words, he's crazy.
Right.
And I'm a big fan of words. But then after that, on the heels of that, you got LL Cool J, who to me is the first big rap superstar. You know what I'm saying? And he was almost like, he's only 2 years older than me, but he's a superhero.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? The
right.
way he dressed, the vibrato, you know what I'm saying? All that, the moxie, and then the rhymes are crazy, and then he's taking everybody out, all competition. You know, shortly after that, we have the ushering in of another class of MC. The Kool G Raps of the world, the Rakims of the world, the KRS Ones of the world, the Chuck D's of the world, the Big Daddy Kanes of the world, you know, and then Ice Cube and Scarface representing a whole nother coast and culture, but within the body of hip hop culture. These are the people that influence me, and these are the people that you know, if you've listened to their music and you listen to my music, you may hear some influences of all of the people that I just named, and then you throw Trey Lee in that mix, and here you have Tracey Lee, the MC.
Let me ask you this, because that's awesome. I love those names you listed. A lot of lyricists in there. What kind of MC would you describe yourself? You got the lyricists, you got the battle rhymers, you got the party rhymer. Like your big hit, the theme was a party song.
Yes.
But you're a lyricist. Like,
Yes.
how would you define yourself as an MC? What kind of MC would you say you are?
Like I said, I'm a gumbo, man. I think I do it all. You know what I'm saying? Like I like to pride myself to be a 5-tool MC. And when I say that, I mean, you know, not only do we get into the lyricism, but we get into bounces, we get into flows, we get into cadence, we get into moving the crowd. That's what the originality of the MC is. He didn't have to rhyme words, but he could move the crowd just by the sound of his voice and the way that he says certain things. So it's like I like to implement all of that into the artistry of being an MC. And so, you know, hence the original album, my first commercial album, Many Faces. It takes on that persona, you know what I'm saying?
All right, so let's talk about why we're here on Howard's campus. We'll talk about how this thing got started.
Oh, man.
Take us back right here on the yard.
Yeah.
And how who was here? Because there's a lot of names. Now, I know a little bit about this, but I want the people to know there's a lot of names that we hear. They were all right here. When you think about everybody being right here at the same time, it's crazy. But talk about that, and then how the theme came to be and your big break.
So, you know, the fact that we are here and you're talking about this, you know, the beginnings of my career from a commercial perspective, and, you know, more specifically the theme itself, it happened to happen right over there to my right at Blackburn Center. I ran into a cat by the name of Derek D. Angeletti. I caught him and my man China Black, you know what I'm saying, freestyling right in front of that, right in that little corner over here. And so I'm listening to him, and this is at the time when I'm coming out of high school. I'm a freshman. It's my second semester freshman year. And I had already kind of, because I had tried to get deals when I was in high school.
Okay.
And so it never panned out. And I said, well, you know what, I'm gonna come to college, I'm gonna be a sports broadcaster, because that's my other passion, sports. And I'm done with MCing. So I happen to be walking across the camp, and I see them cats in the corner, and they just spit. And I'm like, what is going on over here? So I happen to creep over there, and it's Dot, and he says this line, and China is going back and forth. And immediately, you know, when you're of the culture, it never leaves you.
Right.
You can try to tuck it away, you can try to, you know what I mean, pretend like you don't love it no more. But all you got to do is get that inspiration and that one spark, and that was the spark. And so that developed into a relationship, a friendship, you know, a brotherhood, you know what I'm saying, that is still going to this day. He's still my mentor, but he is the one that introduced me, or not introduced me, because I knew Mark Pitts. Mark Pitts also went to Howard.
Wow.
And me and Mark actually came in the same class together. But Mark didn't know I got busy. But D-Dot, over the years, you know what I'm saying, you know, we had developed that type of relationship where we were making records together, rhyming and all this other stuff. And he told Mark, look, you know, I know you got your label going. I know you coming up from under Puff. Now, Puff also went to Howard.
Right.
And Mark was an understudy of Puff. And he was managing Big at the same time. And because of that situation, he parlayed that into a situation at Universal Records. And so when Mark was looking for an artist, Dot went to him and said, yo, man, I don't know if you know, Trey get busy. You know what I'm saying? And so the moment that happened, you know, I sent him a couple, you know, joints. You know, they fell in love with it. We signed a deal. And Dot, along with another cat by the name of Ron Lawrence, who made up the Mystery System. Ron Lawrence went here as well, and he did records with Herbie Lovebug before even, you know what I'm saying? So they are the ones that are responsible for the theme, producing the theme. You know, I gave them the idea to use Pieces of a Dream, you know, Mount Airy Groove, because I wanted, if there's gonna be a record that's gonna come out, you know, commercially, I want them to associate it with Philly, and, you know, Pieces of a Dream is a Philly, you know, Philly group, you know what I'm saying? So they took that, they flipped it, they added some other stuff, you know what I'm saying? And then, you know, the final product is, and everywhere that my crew go, you know, we get down. And so that's why that question right here, while we're standing on this campus, is sort of a, what's the word I want to look for? It's nostalgia.
Got you.
You know what I'm saying?
Cool. So what I loved about that story was, you know, and I think a lot of people go to HBCUs. That's what's so beautiful about the experience, is that you just don't know who is going to be your lifelong friend, which person is going to be somebody that's going to set you up for who knows what. So talk to us, take us back here to, what years were you here?
88 to 92.
88 to 92.
But I stayed a little longer. You
know, we'll say it stayed in you a little longer.
Yeah. I hung around. I graduated. But I hung around.
You don't have to leave. I mean, that's what I want to bring up.
That's what I'm saying.
Talk about the HBCU experience. Like, why do we stay around so long? I would have stayed in Hampton for 5-6 years if I could have. You know. So talk to us about the HBCU experience. I know it's been a lot, getting a lot of coverage in the last few years. But you know, for those who know, those of us who've been there and understand that, we've always known how dope HBCUs are. So talk to us about your experience and why that, you know, HBCU was so important for you to go to.
Well, I actually come from HBCU lineage.
Awesome.
Like my mother and my father went to Clark. You know what I'm saying? My brother went to Morehouse. My sister went to Clark. My other sister went to Howard. My wife went to Howard. So that's all I know. I was the first baby on the campus. I don't remember it, but I have pictures to prove that I was the baby that they carried around at Clark University down in Atlanta. So it's in my blood, man. And so I really didn't, I applied to other schools, but I already knew. You know what I'm saying? I did it just from an ego perspective. I got into Temple. I got into Penn State. I already knew I was coming to a HBCU. And because of the experience, there's nothing like it in the world. The network is ridiculous. You can go anywhere in the world and you find somebody that went to a HBCU, and it's all automatically like family from the moment y'all meet. And you could be meeting for the first time. And I think you hit it on the head, man. It's about these lifelong relationships that you have. Like the people that are my friends, I've known them since I was a kid. You see what I'm saying? And so they've seen all your ups, your downs, your trials, your tribulations. They've gone through the circles, and everything is relatable, man. So, you know, when you have conversations, it's easy. It's easy to have, because you have this common bond, you know what I'm saying? And it never leaves you, man. So, you know, to all the kids out there, you know what I'm saying, especially cats that are of our ilk, I would encourage you to go to an HBCU, because you have lasting, long life friendships and family that will last you forever.
You heard, man, he said it.
Keep the moment pouring on, then we gon' party till the dawn.
To my children, who already knows who Daddy is, like, they're probably, honestly, they're my biggest fans. Like, they helped me go through the process of doing the music that I'm doing right now. And they have a great ear. Like, it's crazy. Like, they can pick out the joints that are gonna bang, and the joints that are, okay, Daddy, that's all right. Or, you know, I can see, like they even tell me what type of listener. It's crazy. What type of listener is gonna listen to this particular record? What type of listener is gonna, but I think, you know, in the process of helping me through the music now, and they don't get into too much of my earlier stuff because there's profanity. My daughter, she doesn't like for me to cuss. You know what I'm saying? Like she cringes when she hears a cuss word. So, but I think eventually later they'll get into it. Especially my daughter. My son, he's oblivious to all that. He don't care. You can say all types of foreign filth, and he's ignorant to the whole thing. You know what I mean? What did he say? You know what I mean? Well, my daughter catches everything. But I think eventually they'll go back into the catalog. They'll listen to it from the beginning. They'll listen to, you know, the stuff that I'm doing now, and they'll understand the journey. They'll understand the maturation process. They'll understand, you know, that Daddy went through transformations throughout his life and constantly transforms. You know what I'm saying? They'll understand that Daddy was a God-fearing man. They'll understand that Daddy, you know, is a pillar. Basically, is a sacrifice and a pillar. Sacrificed himself and is a pillar of strength for them. You know what I mean? And took pride in being that model. You know what I'm saying? Being that father that, you know, is there through thick and thin, is there to give them guidance, no matter how many times I yell at them, no matter how many times I say this, that, and the third, or go to your room, or not, they'd always know that I got their back 10,000%. I'm about their well-being, and I'm here for them, for any and every.
In every way, it's all glow. You bring that energy like whoa. So in love with the cocoa. No, it's home.
One of your songs on the album, you talk about, I love it, Footsteps.
Yeah.
It's kind of in the vein of what we're just talking about.
Right.
People being, you know, how much of the threat do you feel like people felt you were? Because even though in the game, you know, you want the best out there, but some people are actually threatened by that. You know, so tell me what your experience was or your thoughts on that situation.
Well, in the hook, you know, for the people that haven't heard the record, I did also say, you know, they may not admit it, but this is just my speculation. And my speculation is based on, you know, just certain events that occurred while I was a signed artist, like why, you know, certain advantages weren't granted to me that were granted to others. You know, there were certain conversations that were had and you know, inside of the industry that led me to believe, like, for instance, there were certain people that could predict before it even happened how much I would sell in my first week. You know, and it may not have been directed at me personally, but I believe it was because of certain relationships that, let's just say, they didn't want others to get ahead of them.
Right.
So in order to prevent that, then I was caught in the crossfire, so to speak. So because they don't want this person to advance, then your artist is not going to advance. You see what I'm saying? And I think they saw also that there could be a potential, because, you know, in this game it's competition. You know, everybody's competing with everybody, which I don't understand, especially if you're getting money with one another. But you don't want an artist that's under somebody else to pass an artist that you already have. And so if you put this particular artist in a certain position, there's a probability, because of the way that he does his thing, or, you know, because people genuinely like this person, or, you know, because of the relationships that they're able to foster or will be able to foster if you put them in a room with certain people, that it could bypass what you got going on. And so that's what, you know, Footsteps is really all about. You know what I'm saying?
You got an industry, an art form that's built on bravado, machismo, ego. But then all these cats are really insecure and scared. The second that you see somebody think might challenge that, they won't find a way to get you out.
Absolutely.
Terrible.
Footsteps.
So I want to talk about the culture. This is 50 years of celebrating hip hop. Hip hop as a culture, hip hop as a music. Hip hop as music. So I want to talk about, let me get your thoughts on the state of hip hop as a culture and the music itself 50 years later.
First of all, I'm proud that, it was able to, or the culture is able to, from a global perspective, be able to be recognized throughout the world. You know what I'm saying? Especially putting a timestamp on it, calling it the 50 years of hip hop culture. Especially coming from the humble beginnings of, a neighborhoods that were, impoverished, neighborhoods that were, forgotten, via economic stability on purpose now. People don't understand how the culture was derived. The culture was derived because we had nothing.
Right.
But, the spirit, the music, the dance, the ability to party through downtrodden times. And so to be recognized 50 years later for that, and now it's a multi-billion-dollar situation, is a beautiful thing. However, there are negatives to that. You see what I'm saying? When you start implementing money into the fold, when commerce comes into play, when you start mixing art with business, they naturally don't mix. That's when greed comes in. That's when, certain influences come in to try to shift a culture into something else, not only for money purposes, but also from a shift in generations.
Yeah.
Purposes where, I hate to give these people credit, but they always see things 20 years down the line. So when they started to change how things were put out into commerce, put out into the commercial place, knowing that it was not going to affect the immediate, but will affect 20 years later, that's the mastermind behind the whole situation. So I think that's where we are. So now, you silence the voices of the people that don't want to, or at least create some type of balance. Where it gives people a choice. If you give people a choice, I believe people will always choose right. But if you always put the negative in front of them, that's where they're going to go, because that's all they see.
That's what you normalized. Yep,
you
normalized that. And that's what I always talk about too, just the balance. When we came up in the golden ages of hip hop, you had everything.
Right.
You had a little bit of everything, so people could choose what they wanted to do, what they wanted to listen to, how they felt in that situation at the time. Now it's just like, you ain't, trying to get high, on some prescription drugs. Where is your place in hip hop?
Or talking down on our women and treating our black women, the way that a lot of these people are doing. Like, essentially, if that's all it's conditioning. If that's all you hear, if that's all you see, then that's the direction you want to go.
Position where the gifts nurtured. A student in every school, they move to see the forehead is off to bear the fruits and move back up north. Fast forward, Philly bred point guard to see the floor plus ball.
Let's talk about, and we done got that love and nostalgia. Let's talk about something that might not be as positive.
It's cool. It's cool.
I gotta ask the question. Okay. I like that spin.
Go ahead.
I gotta ask the questions.
Yeah.
You came in like what analogy I want to use? You the MC. You came in like a hot, I don't know,
I called it a missile.
There we go.
Like in the record, did the missile out the gate, when I was talking about the big, but yeah.
Yeah, all right, so you came in like a missile.
Yeah.
And then nobody saw the missile after that.
Right.
So let's talk about the music industry, however you want to frame this. Let's talk about the music industry and this second album, because you had a second album.
Sure.
I think a lot of times people think that MCs disappear, MCs, singers, whatever, because they weren't good, or they weren't selling or whatever. But you made a second album.
Done.
So so talk about the music industry. What happened to that second album, and how what happened to Tracey Lee?
Man, and I think everybody should know this by now. This business is 95% business, 95% politics, 5% talent. And so I think I got signed back then, not now, I don't think that applies, but I got signed based off my talent and politics.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But then once you get in, it's primarily politics. Because when we were coming in, I'd say 95 to 98% of the people could rhyme. Everybody was nice.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it was about how you positioned yourself in the game. It was about the business that gave you the staying power. And so we made many faces. We had the theme. The theme had some success. Spent 37 weeks on the Billboard charts. You know, we did a song with Big. We did a song with Busta. But going back to the politics, we couldn't advertise that Big was even on the album. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm thinking to myself, how far can we go, or how far could we have went if we were able to say on the sticker, like, because you had to have these sticker rights, if you first walked into the record store and you saw, you know, many faces, Tracey Lee debut album featuring the Notorious B.I.G., Busta Rhymes, you'd be like, wait a minute, Big is on this? And mind you, this is when Big was on the heels of, or this was after Big had passed. You see what I'm saying?
Right, because it's like, the album came, well, you recorded it in 96, I think.
I recorded it in 96, but the album came out March 25th.
Right, okay.
Big's untimely demise was March 9th.
Yes, yeah.
So, you know, from a marketing perspective, in our favor, if you got something, a material that's not on Life After Death, but is on a Tracey Lee album after Big had passed, ain't no telling. Now, you know, the Big, I mean, because of the fact that, you know, we put the record out underground and eventually caught on that Big was on this album, you know, we got some traction, but nothing near the traction that we were able to advertise. So, you know, fast forward, you know, there were things that happened politically inside of Universal in the building and things like that, where, you know, my voice in the building had left because Bostorm had got another deal with LaFace, so they weren't around. So it's like, you know, I'm in these meetings now. I'm the one, you know, trying to piecemeal everything together, going to the marketing department, and it's frowned upon for an artist to do that. You see what I'm saying? I don't know why, but it's frowned upon.
Because they want to own, they don't want you to know the secrets. They don't want you to see how the sausage is made.
I didn't want to say it, so you said it.
I said
it. You know what I'm saying? So, but they gave me a budget to make a second album because, you know, now we're in the red. We didn't make the money back that they put out for Many Faces. So now we're in the red. They want an opportunity to make the money back. They wouldn't let me leave with Mark. You know what I'm saying? So they gave me a budget. And in this budget, we were able to create, and shout out to D-Dot because, you know, he was the mastermind executive producer behind it, you know what I'm saying, along with Mark and myself. But we got some formidable people on this album. We got a young Kanye doing production. We got Korrupt on the album. We got Buckshot on the album. We got Black Rob on the album. We got, you know, Changing Faces on the album. I mean, so the production is top notch. You know, we got the features, you know, the reputable features, and it's done. We shoot a single down in Atlanta. Shout out to Brian Barber, who is the director for Outkast. You know what I'm saying? So we got a young Ludacris. You know what I'm saying, in the video. We got a little John in the video. This is before they popped.
This was, man.
This is 99, 2000. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and we shot the first single. And then the next thing I know, I go to Miami for a promo run. Get off at the airport in JFK after we leave Miami. And I get a phone call from Universal and they say, hey, thank you, but your services are no longer needed.
Just like that.
And I'm like, it's just over. It's over. Like right then and there.
Well, you sold all these people on the album, now you tell me it's over.
So I'm thinking, okay, I got this album done. Y'all doing the marketing in the Source magazine, and people see it's coming out, and then all of a sudden I get the phone call. It's no longer being released. Man. And this is what happens in the business.
The moment that I wrote each opus, but drop in front and low. So it's either develop a thick skin or watch my life spiral like pigskin. So this pen has challenged the system.
All right, so I want to know, what is something that people either don't know about you or they get wrong about you? I mean, with social media, everybody got a voice now, right? Everybody can go and just spread anything they want, tell any story they want. You know, we ain't have to worry about that as much back in the day. But what's something that maybe you see that people don't know or they get wrong about you that you want to?
Oh, that's easy. That I fell off. That I got ate up by Big.
That one.
That I'm not a spitter. It's like y'all don't listen. Y'all haven't, and that's what I had to chalk it up to at the end of the day. Y'all never listen.
You
see what I'm saying? Like, y'all never really paid attention. Y'all just automatically assume certain things. Like, you know, addressing the first thing, I fell off. What do you mean by that? I fell off. Listen, I got a beautiful wife. I got 2 gorgeous kids. I don't need or want for anything financially. I'm in good health, best shape of my life. I'm in good spirits. I'm a God-fearing man. My diet is crazy. Like, what you mean I fell off?
Right.
What does fell off look like?
And you can still take it to any MC's chest who come for you, right?
Listen, this is what we do.
I heard the album, y'all, so I know the man stay.
Listen, fine, this is what we do.
Yeah,
like,
I love that.
I am the coach, I'm of the coach, I'm always do that. Now, not to say that you can't lose it by not exercising your muscle. I exercise my muscle, I write, I rhyme on a daily. So it's like these preconceived notions, not just for me, but for anybody that you don't see in the limelight, automatically fell off, or automatically is not this and that and the third. Well, that's foolish, because you don't know them. And the whole thing about Big, come on now. You think Big would have got on a record with me if you thought, or you, for those that think Big ate me, right? Why is it that you think that he did? Because there's some people that think that these are Big's best bars.
Yeah.
So why did he give his best bars to me on the record?
Why he bring his A game?
Okay,
I see where you going with this.
If you can answer that question, then we're good.
If this is Big's best bars,
Right.
why'd he save them for your track?
Little old me.
Listen, I've heard the conversation. I think we've all heard the conversation. And just as Ari Melville said, full disclosure. Big is my favorite MC of all time. Okay, he's my favorite. When I say favorite, it's different saying the best. He's one of the best. He's my favorite. But yeah, so it's like two things. One, for any MC, I'm not talking about you.
Right.
Any MC, you say, hey, Big out-rhymed me on a song. Like, Big's one of the best. That's like saying Jordan dunked on you. You're like,
fact.
okay, it's Jordan.
Exactly.
But like you said about listening, when I go back and listen to that song, because back then, I didn't, like you said, they never promoted it. I didn't know the song, he was on the song. But listening to it, and I was like, okay, Big was dope. But yo, you did your thing, right? And so it was like, and it complimented each other. Like you see, both of y'all were bringing each other out in that song.
We made a record. See, that's the one thing I want to say to people too. Mm-hmm. It's not an MC versus MC. It was from an ego perspective, because an MCs always think they're the best. So if you get on the best with the record, you're gonna come with your A game. You have to.
Right.
But at the same time, we're making a record. You know what I'm saying? That's a conceptual record that people actually listen to keep their hands high. We robbing the industry.
Yeah.
The people, we're robbing the pretenders. The people that come around here floss and got this and that. We don't think you got it, so run it. But if you do got it, run it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you got to dig deeper into the record. And by the way, I hold Big partially responsible for me getting my deal, because when I was sending records to Mark, and Mark was listening to the records, Big was actually in the car listening to the records, because Mark not only needed Dot's cosign, but he also wanted Big's cosign, because that's his artist, manager.
Yep.
And so Big is in the car telling Mark, the man is nice.
Yeah, Big wouldn't have got on the song with somebody who wasn't there.
That's right.
Awesome. Glad we cleared that up. Can we end that? I ain't gonna say his name. You know what we talking about.
Thank you.
Through the side of my socials, but still born up through all a no cause. Just that bounce back, win with a windfall. Out here taxing with this pen that they rolled off. No broke off.
So Tracey, the show, the brand, what I do is Born to Be Dope. We talk about it's a celebration of being unapologetically great at being you, right? I think that's everyone's secret sauce, their magic power is when you can be great at being you. Once you tap into being you, the world opens up for you. So what makes Tracey Lee dope? What makes you unique?
Look, you just gave me a softball question, because it leads right into the album.
Okay.
I'm different.
Oh, there it is.
That's what makes me unique. I'm different. My whole perspective, not only within the culture of hip hop, but just me from being a human being, I think I just do things differently. Like, like I told you, I was born in Buffalo, raised in Philly, but in between that time, I moved around a lot. My mom, just trying to make a better life for both of us. But I was always, so in turn, or as a result, I was always the new kid. And being a new kid in the class, everybody has their own circles, their own friendships.
Right.
I slid off to the corner. I didn't know anybody, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And eventually the people started gravitating towards me, not to saying that I'm the, you know what I'm saying, but I'm just like, I'm over here, everybody's over there, and eventually one person turns and looks and says, well, what is he doing? You see what I'm saying? And so when one person finds out, then they go tell everybody else, oh, such and such is doing, and then there's an interest there, and then that eventually they start coming over and, you know, assembling and things like that. So that's what makes me unique. I'm different. I'm never scared to go outside of the circle, go outside the box, because that's how I've lived my life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then eventually, you know, people catch me.
And in a world where everywhere you turn, they're trying to make everybody the same, trying to make everybody follow the trends, follow the fads, be like everybody else, everybody do the same thing. When you got somebody like you, like, look, I'm different, standing out and standing on that difference, I think that's so huge and so powerful. One of the reasons why the album, which is called, it's called Different, take the album off, it's called Different, it's so important. I think that when you listen to it, when y'all check it out, you've been hearing the tracks play as we talking, it is different. It's a great album to it just touches on so many things. Matter of fact, let's talk about the album a little bit. I know this was, you know, not scripted.
Sure.
But let's tell them about the album while we're here. Tell them about the album itself, what they can expect on the album, and tell them how to get the darn thing.
Absolutely.
Because you're doing something different with your release on this album. So let's talk about that.
That's a fact. So it's 12 tracks. It's not available on any streaming platforms. You can get it at TraceyLeeMusic.com. That's TRACEYLEE music.com. And essentially, it takes you on a journey of, you know, post-pandemic, but don't think it's a pandemic album. It's what is the mindset of myself after coming out of being in isolation for 3 years, you know. It's almost like if a person gets incarcerated and you're out, you know what I'm saying, and you come back into the world, you know, what is your perspective, what is your outlook, you know what I mean? And so, essentially, that's what this album does. It takes you on a journey. First of all, you gotta get acclimated to being back outside, you know what I'm saying? Does it look the same as it did before you went into isolation? And then, once you get past that, then it gets into the introspective aspect of, where's Tracey Lee at now? What are the things that you thought about, like, over the last few years? Where is this journey going to take you eventually? You know, what are some of the things, you know, why are you even doing this in the first place? You know what I'm saying? Why are you continuing to make music? So it takes you on that type of journey, man. And I think, you know, a lot of the things that I talk about, at least my thought process is that I'm not the only one going through these things.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I felt like this is a very relatable album that people of our ilk can get into, you know what I'm saying, and say, hey, man, that's me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going through that same thing. So again, Different. TraceyLeeMusic.com, TRACEYLEE music.com. Go cop it, and you can name it at your own price. That's a new thing. You can name it at your own price, whatever you want to pay, whatever you think the music is worth. And again, it's not available on streaming platforms.
It is. So I love that. I love that. Make sure y'all get the album. And pay, you know, don't be trying to pay for the album, you know? Pay for the album. Hope you got a minimum on there. Like, you can name your price, but I need at least this much.
Listen, I'm different. If you can't tell us I'm fair, tell by the fear, don't see a flare, nor hit a scare. Look, if my life don't give you.
All right, so the last thing I want to talk about, man, because, like I said, I've heard the album, and that last song on that album really just, I think anybody who's been driven, anybody who's gone after something, has a purpose or some kind of even talent, when they hear that last song, they were like, wow, okay, I've been there. So I want to talk about, I want you to talk about when you are so driven by your purpose and your passion, like, so it won't leave you alone, but sometimes you feel like that purpose and passion has abandoned you. So talk to us about you being in that situation. I know you got a very unique story that I've heard before, but I want you to share it again because I think it's so powerful about when you were literally down to your last $7.
No doubt. First and foremost, you know, I'm a very faith-based, spiritual person. I lean on God for everything, you know. And so, you know, throughout my time here on this earth, throughout my life, throughout my journey, you know, it's always these situations where it's like, how am I going to get out of this? Or, you know, what's going to happen? Where is my life? You know, what is the destination of my life? What is my purpose? So, you know, speaking on that last song, when you start talking about bigger plans, you know, again, you realize you have a gift, but will your gift fall on deaf ears? You know what I'm saying? Because the natural inclination of a human being is that, you know, You know you have something, but you want to share, be able to share it with the world, and for the world to acknowledge it. It's almost like a oxymoron, if you will, but that's just the human side of it. So, you know, going back to the $7, it's like when I got dropped from Universal and I had to figure out what the next move was going to be. I moved down to Atlanta with my brother. He eventually goes to grad school, so now I'm just out there. I met a young woman that's not my wife, but you know she came along at a time. You know, you meet people for reason, season.
Purposes. She ain't got your exes serve purposes.
Reason, season, lifetime. This is a reason.
Right.
Reason, season. You know what I'm saying? So you know, she helped me out a lot, but still, I get down to my last $7. You know what I'm saying? And I'm a prideful person too, so I'm not asking for nobody for nothing. So I go to church. And really, it was just like a token, if you will. And I put the $7 in the plan because I'm trying to figure out, like, what am I going to do? So it's basically, this is me saying to God, man, I need you to handle this because I can't handle it. I'm tapped out.
Right.
I don't know what to do. So put the $7 in the pan. I get a call from Wayne Barrow. Shout out to Wayne Barrow, who's Mark Pitt's cousin, who's president or vice president of Boston. And he calls me a week later after I put that $7 in the pan. He says, Tracey, I got a call from Universal Publishing and they have a check for you, but they don't know where to send it. So here's a number, call them and give them the address. So I called them that day. A week later, I get a check in the mail for $7,000. Now, again, I put my last $7 in the place, so I'm tapped out for about at least 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? Week after that, I get another check for $57,000. And so, in me asking God for direction, all of this happens at this particular time because God didn't necessarily say go to law school, but this money afforded me the ability to be able to start the process of going to law school. You know what I'm saying? In addition to me understanding whatever happened, like we were talking about before when we started talking about, you know, there are certain things that happen that on its face may look like it's, you know, a bad situation. Right. It was actually a blessing because it led me to say, through the trials and tribulations that you went through in this business, what have you learned from that?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Not only for yourself, but what can you offer to others that are coming up in the game that weren't afforded, you know, or are not afforded certain things to them or that you weren't afforded, like competent consultation, you know what I'm saying, to tell you not to sign this, or correct that, or negotiate that. So that money led me to starting the process of going into law school. I took the LSAT, eventually getting accepted at Southern University, Law Center, another HBC. I keep it HBC
there it is.
all
there it is.
day, you hear me? Graduated in 2000, went in 2003, graduated in 2006, passed the bar in 2007, and I've been a licensed attorney for the last 16 years.
Yeah, I love that story. A couple things there. One, God had your blessing sitting there waiting for you. And I'm talking about you, but it's all of us. Like,
yes.
He has the blessing waiting. He's just waiting for you to activate it by stepping out on that faith,
That's
right? Like that money, that 57 plus 7, what's that, $64,000 was sitting there waiting. But you ain't get it until you put that $7 your last $7. So some of us sitting there won't make that sacrifice.
That's
right. Like, well, I'm gonna eat today, you know?
Right.
But that activated the faith activation opened up their blessings. That's
Absolutely.
First and foremost, man. But then, like you said, then you flipped it over. Well, go back to the early conversation. Did he fall off? Man, as an attorney now, you out there helping make sure that people who came up in the same industry as you, now that you put them in a better position to make sure they're properly represented. So as an attorney, as a father, as a coach, because you do that too, don't you? You out there coaching, you know, a Howard
mentor.
icon.
I mean, that's the best part of my life. I love being a mentor
Absolutely.
for younger people, man, that just don't know. And I know you don't know because I didn't know when I was in your position. I'm telling you don't know. So yeah.
So man, this has been great. I'm excited about this new album. I'm excited about just seeing how, and you know, we're in a different place now. It's like, it ain't about let's go double platinum, triple platinum. We're like, let's just change some lives with the music. Let's just get out there, get some people listening to it, motivated by it, go out there and pursue your dream, find out what makes you different, and what makes you dope. So I did the double plug right
love
there.
that, love that.
Double
That's how
plug
you
right
supposed to
there.
do that.
Right.
D&D,
There you
different
go.
and dope. You dig me?
New mixtape coming to you next year. New mixtape, Raji and T. Lee. What? So you have to write all the bars, though.
I got it. I get
Cool.
all the publishing too.
No, we got half. We got to go 50-50 on the publishing now. I actually do. I'm still registered with ASCAP for my publishing company. So we had to work that out. See, we already done broke up that. We done broke up that fast. That's why we can't ever get along. That's why we can't have things. No. See, that's Howard for you.
Yeah,
Just joke. I went the whole time.
So let me flex on him.
That was my violation. My bad.
He know where we at.
I don't have nothing. I ain't got nothing on Hampton.
Huh?
But listen, man, this has been great, man. I love it. I'm gonna give you a chance to give any final words to the people watching. It's all on you.
Look, dare to be different and dope. Keep it in there.
You heard it. T. Lee. I'm Ryan C. Greene. This is Born to Be Dope. Go out there, be unapologetically great at being you. Talk to you soon.
But every time I want to, a bill becomes due. So Mr. President, I need that child tax credit to come through. I need this internet for